Hey guys, so in this video we're going to be looking at tissues. Now in the past in a regular biology class you might have learned about tissues as an aggregate of a similar type of cell. So when we talk about levels of organization, we talk about cells, then tissues, then organs, because tissues make up organs. So today we're going to go a little bit deeper into what those types of tissues are and take a look at some common types of tissues under the microscope. Alright, so before we get to tissues, we want to talk about the four main types of cells or categories of cells that are in the human body. Now there's actually about 200 different types of cells that can differentiate within the human body to perform different functions, and remember that structure is often going to dictate the function of the cell. But within those 200 kinds, there are four main categories. So we have muscle cells, nerve cells, epithelial cells, and connective tissue cells. So as you can kind of guess, the muscle cells are going to be the ones that are going to generate mechanical forces to produce movement. So they're specialized for that purpose. Nerve cells, as you might think of neurons, are going to initiate and conduct electrical signals for communication purposes. Now, epithelial cells are going to have selective secretion and absorption of ions and other organic molecules within the body. And connective tissue cells are going to connect, anchor, and support major structures of the body as well. So our main tissue types are going to be the same. We're going to have muscle tissue, nerve tissue, epithelial tissue, and connective tissue. So, if this falls on me, we're in trouble. Like we said, officially, tissues are going to be an aggregate of a single type of cell, but sometimes we can refer to generalized kidney tissue or lung tissue, and this is going to include all four types of tissues within that group. So just think about tissues being sort of a broad definition for now. So tissues are going to make up the general cellular fabric of an organ structure. So together, we'll have a variety of different types of cells within our kidneys to actually create that kidney organ. Now, importantly to note, there's also this really complex extracellular matrix that surrounds these tissues, and these are going to be really important as far as communication and function goes to actually do the jobs that these cells and these groups of cells, these tissues, need to do. So this extracellular matrix includes a mix of proteins, molecules, sometimes minerals that are specific to that tissue, and it's going to provide a scaffold for all the cellular attachments and activities, and is also going to transmit information. And now a lot of these proteins are going to be fibers that actually make up the structure or the scaffolding of the tissue that it surrounds. So you can think of it as an overall support for the tissue itself. All right, let's take a look at some different types of tissue. All right, so what we're looking at first on this microscope is an image, so it's a picture of a picture, but this is an image of muscle tissue. So this is one of our four main types of tissues, and remember that it is in a matrix, but muscle tissue actually has a minimal matrix. So we're going to have these really tightly packed muscle cells. This is actually cardiac muscle. Again, the function is for movement, and right here, these darker spots we can see here, these are the nuclei of the cells, and then what we're looking at surrounding the nuclei are actually going to be the smooth muscle cells of the cardiac muscle tissue. So here we're looking at different types of tissue within the small intestine. So this is small intestine tissue, again containing all four main types of tissue. Here though, from here to here, this is the mucosa, whoops. It's going to be called the mucosa, which is part of epithelial tissue. Now we also have these protrusions called villi, and they're going to help with absorption, increasing surface area, so we can get the absorption of the maximum amount of material in through the small intestine. Here we have a cross-section of some spinal cord. Now, the spinal cord, again, is going to have many tissues, but it's mostly going to be made up of a bundle of tissues for the nervous system, so nerve tissue, and its purpose is for sending signals and supporting cells that are going to be coming to and from the brain. Now, for nerve tissue, know that the structure is made of neurons and our other glial cells, and the purpose is to conduct nerve impulses. This last image I found on Wikimedia Commons. You can see the attribution at the bottom, but this is an example of our connective tissue type. Now remember, connective tissue are going to support all parts of the body. This particular one is bone, so this has a specialized function for bone that we're looking at here. But these are cells that are separated by a lot of matrix, and the matrix can be hard in this case, in the case of bone, but it can also be liquid in the case of blood. But it's going to have a lot of support to connect and support all of the tissues and other cells it surrounds.